I attended Alicia's workshop in Austin, Texas, and I went to several different sessions. Her session was the only one in 2 days that I received an answer, a solution to an issue that was happening in my family, my whole family, 2 generations of family. And I tell you what an awesome time I had. What an awesome setup and just interactive workshop she had. And I tell you what, it is the best. I tell you what, woohoo!
Alicia, I just enjoyed your talk, your wonderful testimony. It has helped me. It will help my family. I have a grandson that can benefit what I heard today. Will help him. And bless your family. And wish you a happy new year. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
But I have the pleasure of introducing our first presenter this morning, Ms. Alicia Buchanan. She is the founder and chief healing officer of Golden Opportunity to Develop. She's a speaker, trainer, author, and Christian social worker called to help people overcome fear, shame, and trauma so they can be the leaders God purposed them to be. She discovered her purpose to help people heal after being exiled from her faith community while experiencing a mental health breakdown as a result of compassion fatigue, grief, and trauma. My God. Alicia has more than 13 years of education, training, and experience as a social worker in behavioral and mental health treatment, as well as administration, nonprofit management, leadership, and program evaluation. When she is not reading, writing, or learning, Alicia enjoys traveling, dancing, singing, and good cuisines. She's my sister. Her favorite pastime is spent with her husband and 2 sons. At this time, let's give a great welcome to Ms. Alicia Buchanan.
Good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? My heart's torn in pieces. It's my offering. Take me to the King. I just want to take a breath and thank you all for receiving me this morning. So we are going to hopefully heal our broken hearts or jumpstart that process so that we can break those chains of emotional bondage and we can move forward in life. That is the work that I hope that I can share with you all because it's been very important to my life. purposed us to be. My mission and vision is that relationships and families are restored. See, sometimes when we're moving forward in our business or in our ministry and we're trying to figure out our purpose, we can't forget those people who we were birthed to, or even the people who support us. And we want to make sure that we're leading harmonious lives. Just like Miss Chanika was saying about feeling tired, we got to take care of ourselves. Turn it down. Okay, is that better? Yes. Okay, y'all can hear.
Sorry about that.
Okay, I just wanted to try to set the mood and get us in a good mindset. But also, people no longer living in isolation, fear, and shame. And we being able to respect our differences so that nobody feels threatened. And I know the season that we're in right now, there are a lot of people that are hurting and they're feeling threatened, they're feeling isolated, they're living in fear, they're living in shame. So as we find our purpose and we're working with those people, we just have to keep that in mind. But we have to do the work for ourselves first. So what I hope that we will cover today is we'll walk through a 7-step method to break free from emotional bondage so that we can be the leaders and be the change that we want to see in this world. We can brainstorm some ways to communicate our needs with other people. We can discover strategies to reconnect with God. Some of us may have lost that intimacy as Delita has talked about those dry bones. We may have lost our faith, we may have lost our walk, may have thought God has forgotten about us. But we're going to talk about some strategies so that we can reclaim that intimacy with God. And also talk about some resources. And you all have a lot of great resources already in this room with connecting with one another. It is our time now. The time is right now. As you are trying to figure out your purpose or just wondering what that is, just remember that it's right now. You don't have to wait until tomorrow. Your time is right now. We're carrying some baggage, perhaps. We're going to unpack that. And also, I want you to just remember, what if you could press the forward button on life? What if you could press that forward button and think about your future self? Who do you want that person to be? How do you want that person to impact change in this world? And also, what if you were unashamed of your past? Some of us were living in a closet. We're holding on to that. But our testimony and our story is powerful. We can't just keep staying in the closet and being closet Christians or being closet whatever we are purposed to be. We want to have that freedom to walk into our greatness. So, where does forgiveness and healing start? Where does it start? Can anybody guess? It starts with us. You know that cliche when they say you point to somebody else, but you have 3 fingers pointing back at you? It's so true. It's very true. We want to find blame in what other people did to us or what happened in the past and how it's held us back, how we've been hostage, and we're just hiding in our closets. No, it starts with us. We have the power and authority. We just have to reclaim it and activate it. Trauma-informed care. We talk about trauma. It is a daily practice. It's not something that you just do one time and you figure out your story and your testimony and you just hide it. It's something you're doing every day because we have to be mindful of those people that we're interacting with. They're carrying baggage as well. But you're fortunate because you're here today and you're able to do that work so that you can help other people. And everybody has a story. We just have to figure out what is our story so that we can rewrite it. And just as this diagram says, when we're doing the work of forgiveness and healing, there's your story, their story, and the underlying truth. That is the truth. And it's not hidden to us. It's not something that God, our Creator, is just sitting up there and He has the truth and He's keeping it secret. It can be unveiled. We just have to do the work. But sometimes there's a distortion. There's a perception. We think we want to blame the other person, or also someone may see it differently. So I just want to briefly share my story and give my testimony. And I thank you so much because this is my first time sharing my story to a live audience. So I thank you for receiving me. Thank you, and just bear with me. I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. But my story starts 7 years ago. 7 years ago. I was very active in a church ministry, a church. I was a full-time everything. Was just doing everything to please God. Was a single, and I wanted to divulge in God's greatness. Was very active in a church. Doing children's church, dance ministry, working full-time, graduate student, just doing too much, really. And I felt a pulling from God, a calling from God that maybe you need to step up into ministry. Or actually, not maybe, to step up into ministry. But you know, sometimes we are afraid to do what God has purposed us to do. But I was really excited to share my story, to share my calling and share my story of what God had purposed in my heart. You know, we get excited about things, we want to tell everybody. We're like, hey, sister, I want to tell you this, or I want to tell you what's going on. And sometimes we have to hold on to that. Just like you were saying, we have to hold on to that. We have to pray until things manifest. So I shared some things with church leaders and was looking for, honestly, their validation. Looking for their validation like we do. When we have a confirmation or a calling, we go and we look for other people's validation. Because sometimes we're like, wait a minute, I think I heard this, or I think, no. If God plants it into your heart, that is what He has done. So I shared that with some people, and there were some obstacles that happened. But to shift the blame back on myself and to take ownership, I was doing too much. And as you can see in the picture, you see me holding a child. That was my firstborn son. And unfortunately, he had passed away before I joined that church. So there was a grieving process that I didn't really do, was just moving forward into life, because sometimes we don't do that. We have to hold on to every emotion that we experience in every life situation, whether it's good or bad. We have to allow ourselves the time that we need. But I didn't do that for myself. So some things had to happen, and it caused me to have a mental health issue. We don't like the word mental health. We think that people are crazy, or something's going to happen, or we have this stigma about people, and we have to get past that. Because the people that you interact with every day, they have issues. And we can't judge people. Because when we're judging other people, we're judging ourselves. So that is what happened. I won't get into the details because I detail it too well in my book. But what happened is I got exiled from that church. Actually exiled from that church, or excommunicated. And it took me 7 years to get back to where I am today. So I'm very happy to be where I am today. Many losses also. My brother lost him as well. And I didn't deal with the grief. But I'm so excited that I'm able to share with you all my process of how I was able to get there. So the first secret is embracing your story. That's the first step. You have to embrace it. A lot of times when I'm just trying to tell people about their awesomeness, they haven't embraced their story. you're trying to figure out what is it that God wants me to do, this is the first step. Finding the courage to acknowledge your pain. Not hide from it or keep it in the closet, but acknowledge it. Because God has created us all wonderfully and fearfully. He's given us all something very unique and something very specific to go out into the field and help other people. He's given it to each and every one of us. And nobody else has your story but you. Nobody. I can stand up here all day and talk about my story. Nobody else has my story but me. But one great thing about God that I will say is even in our differences, we are similar. Even in our differences, we're similar. There are some things that are similar about us, but we are unique. So that's the first step, is embracing you. And the second step is embracing your truth. And I'm going to dig a little bit deeper on this step, because once you've gotten past the pain and the story, it's very difficult to move forward. But the second thing, you're going to embrace your truth. This is when you start to shift the responsibility back on yourself, so that you can be a self-aware leader. And when I talk about truth, it is the things that make us vulnerable in our situations. Because what makes us unique can also be used as a weakness. Especially when you start to talk about your story or reveal it. Some people from your past, they may try to judge you or say, what does this person, who do they think they are? What makes you capable of leading a business? Starting your own business, starting your own ministry, what makes you capable? I know those were some of the challenges that I had as I stepped up into leadership. Starting a ministry, starting a business. I had those thoughts in my head. That is what I allowed in my head. Am I worth it? You know, these people in this church, they told me not to come back, not to volunteer anymore. And all these things happen. So what makes me work moving forward after 7 years? Or what if I fail? Or what if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not lovable? What if I'm not popular? Those are the things that you have to think about. And you have to sit with them. Because those thoughts actually, they help